Hi guys, I thought it might be quicker for me to do a quick screencast to just show, pardon me, to just show how the compose file works. You're absolutely right. There's a problem with this compose file, and the problem with the Docker compose file is it's written for Docker 2.1, but Docker has since moved on to version 3, and in version 3, a lot of these depends on clauses no longer work in the same way, or at all, in fact. Now, this is fine because these days we tend to deploy cap components using Kubernetes, where we just restart them. So if Alert Hub doesn't start, we just restart it. That strategy works really well there, but it works less well on the Docker Compose file. But there is a way around it, so we'll just look at that now, and I'll show you how to get things working. So this is, I mean, specifically for people wanting to evaluate, but it might be generally useful, I suppose. What I'm going to do is to run Docker Compose down -v to make sure that I've blown away my previous installation, and then Docker Compose up. So we'll just wait a second while Docker creates the various volumes and containers. So it's basically a bit of a lottery. If the container's execute in the right order, everything will start up and work. If the containers don't execute in the right order, then things get a bit messed up. And unfortunately, it's the same on every restart. So it's not the case that just the first time you run it, you might be unlucky. If Rabbit doesn't start before FeedFacade, for example, obviously you've got an example here. CAPAggregator has come up before Elasticsearch, and so basically it's now in a state where it won't work. And so normally what I do in a Kubernetes environment is just bomb out at this point and try to restart in 30 seconds, but we don't have that option here. As it happens, FeedFacade came up after everything else, and FeedFacade looks like it's come up okay this time. So what's happened is everything has started, but CAPAggregator has basically, it won't be able to use Elasticsearch because it caches the connection. But there's an easy way around this, which is that if I go Docker Compose restart CAPAggregator, I could have started Docker Compose in the background, which would have let me execute that command in this shell, but it's just as easy to get a different shell. I like to have the status scrolling by. Oh, that's okay. Okay, so CAPAggregator has come back, and so we're all okay now. If it had been the case that FeedFacade had started late, then I'd run this command instead, docker compose restart FeedFacade. Now, I appreciate this is a completely rubbish way of starting the app, but if it's just so that you can test it on a single desktop machine, hopefully this workaround will get you working whilst we work out a better script for Docker Compose 3. And obviously we use different scripts for Kubernetes, which means this isn't a problem. So FeedFacade is just restarting. There it is, it's back now. So now we've got a system which we know works. And just to go through how you actually get things working, as you detected, basically all these fields are optional except for the username and password. I'm going to save that and FeedFacade setup. Okay, so I've set these systems up and I'm going to log in. I need to log into both, so that's CAPAggregator login and there's FeedFacade. They are completely separate services, so they have separate authentication. I am toying with the idea of moving to Keycloak and having unified login for them, but we'll see about that. So, as you had detected before, you need to load your subscriptions list. So load subscriptions list and sync with that. So what's happening now is CAPAggregator is chewing through the list of definitions for subscriptions and loading them. So you got that bit right, I think, before, but you were saying you weren't seeing results. And the reason you're not seeing results is if you look, all the registered feeds, all 175, are currently switched off. So enabled is no, basically, which means that no feeds are being scanned. So I've got a couple of options. I can switch them on individually, or there's this admin enable all operating, which will basically slowly work through the list of 175 feeds, because the problem is if we turn all 175 on at once, FeedFacade will visit all 175 sites and basically dump a massive amount of alerts into the pipeline. And in a single node setup like we've got here, that places quite a lot of stress. It will actually chew through them eventually, but it turns out to be much better if we can just gradually turn the tap on. So this option of enable all operating basically just slowly turns the tap on, and it will enable 5 feeds at a time with a small gap in between each operation, just so we slowly ramp up. And then once they're all switched on, of course, they are all scanned in a way that you would expect. It's just it evens out that initial lump. What I'm just waiting for is the file load to finish, and it has finished, hasn't it? Yeah, good. So we've now got 2,414 subscriptions, and what I'm going to do is to do admin enable all operating. So this is registering the fact that we want to slowly switch on all the operating feeds, and you can see it's detected there are 120 still to be processed there. So basically there are 120 operating feeds in this system right now. So feed checker runs once a minute. If you have multiple nodes, obviously that will be staggered over all the nodes. We're slowly enabling sets. What I can do actually is restrict the search to the enabled feeds. So there are 5 feeds enabled at the moment. Oh, okay. So now we're starting to get alerts. And what I can do already, or I should be able to do already, is if I go over to unfiltered here, you can see we're getting alerts through. So we've already got 48. And this is basically just as the system starts to chew through all those alerts that we've activated. So yeah, basically what will happen now, just refresh that. You'll be able to watch this going in the console. If I refresh this, okay, we've now got 15 feeds enabled, and you can start to see that this feed was checked at 9 AM UTC, and which is obviously it's 9:46 UTC, 10:46 British Summer Time. We've had 1 attempt so far, 1 success. We found 25 new entries. You can see there's a load of new entries being found there. You can see that this one, AG, Argentina maybe? I don't know. We've got an error there, so that was an SSL handshake error. So that's a feed that's consistently down. We've got a connect timeout here from, I guess that's a Netherlands feed. Yeah, so basically that's it. As far as I can tell, the Docker Compose file does run if you just deal with this ordering problem, which has been created by Docker Compose removing the depends on setting in version 3. So look, I hope this helps. Reach out if it doesn't, and we'll see what we can do.